Okay, what's up? How's it going, guys? We're going to do Pythagoras today, picking up Antiquity Unveiled, page 214. Pythagoras, the Samian sage. I was excited to do him. I like Pythagoras a lot. So today is February 16th, 2016. It's Apollonius' birthday. Happy birthday, Apollonius. And I just wanted to get back on the horse and do a video for you guys, all you good spirits here in Antiquity Unveiled. So, Pythagoras, I greet you all. It is just exactly 6 months that I have been fighting my way through adverse conditions to reach you here. To be a sage and a philosopher in ancient times was not a very difficult affair, because it was always a spiritual affair. All sages in ancient times were more or less mediums, but in your day, they are more learned materially because the different opportunities that you have to acquire knowledge. I received from a spirit the doctrine of metempsychosis, and I find that there is something in it that is the spirit envelopment of the medium. I also devoted myself considerably to Euclid's work and was the first, in the Greek history at least, to find the properties of the hypotenuse or fourth element. And it has been revived a great deal spiritually in theory of the fourth dimension of space. Zolliner's theory, a lame attempt to find out spiritual things by theory. There is another point which we must admit is infinitely beyond our grasp. That is to understand the properties of life in matter. We can understand the materialized demonstration of it, but we cannot understand how it combines and how surrounding atoms coming together produce thought. There are spirits in my sphere who understand this thing, but the knowledge of it cannot be forced upon the matter of this planet as long as there is such a determined opposition to spiritual things. All the spiritual things of the present day, as felt by the majority of mankind, are nothing more than adhering to all myths and stories of antiquity. There is no way to find out the elements of mind in any better manner than by seeking the God principle within yourselves. In that way, you draw to yourselves a combination of the brightest intellects from the spirit world. All morality, as taught by me in my golden verses, was simply the result of observation and experience. And I received many of my precepts from the poets before my time, Homer, Hesiod, and others. And all of the sages in those days taught their own doctrines to certain schools of men who retired into their caves or gardens, and there all such minds were moved in a trance, in the same manner that I move this man today. Sometimes they were conscious, and sometimes, when the deepest thoughts were given, in a deeply unconscious state. All gods and goddesses have grown out of names to signify certain qualities that exist within the human body, such as patience, perseverance, and all other virtues. And even the passions are represented in Grecian mythology, and were so understood by the learned of my day. And as the cross is the symbol of the Christian religion, so these gods and goddesses were the symbols of certain appetites, passions, and virtues. There is an approach of the noblest, highest, and purest intelligences in the spirit world towards this earth. But between you, these spirits, lies the magnetism of ignorance, which hampers every intelligent spirit and keeps it from expressing what it really wishes to. When it does control a medium, and this magnetism is thrown off daily by mortals, and intercepts progression, and although you stand forward in strife, you will find a few at the present day with intelligence enough to comprehend what spiritual phenomenon they get. And why should they care for more when they will not understand what can be demonstrated? At my time, it was just as difficult to make a man understand the truth as it is today. That is, we labored under the difficulties of superstition. Priestcraft always stands in the way of progression. The more ignorant the hearers of a priest, the less work he has to do. And the more enlightened they become, the more difficulty he has to maintain his position. Therefore, you will always find these teachers of superstition enemies to progression. The ancient nations of the world at my time had more intercourse with each other than you would suppose, and living as I did, almost at the same time as Confucius, the Chinese philosopher, I met with some of his disciples and compared with them our respective teachings. And you will find that the golden verses of Pythagoras and the wisdom precepts of Confucius have a sameness in their teachings. You will also find that the first great teachers living more natural lives, nearer to nature, do not express themselves with the elegance of some of the younger poets and philosophers, but in the very beauty of simplicity. Instead of using learned words to express your thoughts, it is best to put your ideas in the simplest form possible. You will hereby avoid misconception. You will also be better understood. It has grieved the spirits of my day to look from their schools of philosophy and spirit life and see the progress of those superstitions that kill the soul all over this great planet. It is almost impossible to uproot them unless you commence with the child in mortal form. I'll say that again. It is almost impossible to uproot them unless you commence with the child in mortal form. There is another great difficulty with all spirits, Christian, Mohammed, and pagan. They are so imbued with superstitions that even if they reason themselves out of them at maturity, when they come to what is termed death, the earliest impression being the most vivid and marked the deepest upon their spirits, holds them in the meshes of superstition for long years after in spirit life. So there is nothing I know of that will redeem mankind so effectively as educating the child properly, especially spiritually. And I also see this impress of superstition is marked upon the seed that makes the infant in the mother's womb. It grows with the first root in that womb. And I tell you that it is here that this radical reformation must take place. But a false modesty changed people's intellects at the present time in the mortal life. It is at the very commencement of life that the purification must begin, and out of this will grow such an intelligence that the superstition will no longer find a resting place in any mind. 600 years before the Christian era, in my time, these points were well understood, but they have been lost in the confusion and babble that followed after. The principal power in the fostering of superstition has been ambition. Men's ambition to rule by any means whatever. They cared nothing for truth, and it was a set, quotes, what I promulgate or die, end quotes. War is one of the grandest destroyers of progression. That is, it inflames men's passions, and passionate reasoning is always wrong. Cool and calm deliberation is the best savior I know of, and one that I would recommend to all spirits and mortals. There is one who will follow me here today, approaching near to your time, who can discuss the ethics of the Christian and pagan religions better than any man I know of, and his name is Ammonius Saccas. He can throw more light upon the Christian superstition because he is one of the founders of it, and therefore, with my blessing to you all, you can sign me Pythagoras.